Oh my goodness gracious. It is playoff time in the world of the European League of Football. We are live for the playoff preview here on YouTube and Twitch, and also live on Instagram. I'm here with my co-host, Matt Bressington, coming out of the United Kingdom. Matt, what's going on, man?
I'm so excited. I can't contain myself. Like, there's so many different things I want to talk about, so many different players I want to talk about. Everything's going on 100 miles an hour, and I don't know how to think.
Dude, I'm absolutely thrilled. What's up, everybody in the Instagram chat? You guys can comment on here, and we can see that. And then also on the YouTube chat, Flush Down Fiasco. Hey, yo, we missed you, Nick. I missed you guys too. Guys said it was a little bit too late for me. Sorry about that. But what we got for you today, we got a very special show. Got two interviews with two absolute ballers coming up in a couple minutes. Milan Spiller, the first European wide receiver to hit 1,000 yards in the regular season, is going to be joining us for an interview. And then a little bit later in the show, we have got Louis Geyer. Flip that. Louis Geyer first. Messed it up. 10 minutes, the one and only Louis Geyer, who's also crossed 1,000 yards with some playoff games. And he's going to be on the show, then Spiller a little bit later. So stick around for that. And you guys put your questions in the chat. We'll ask them the questions you got. So we got that in a couple minutes. But first, Matt, let's just take a look. We got to try and calm down and try and speak logically here. We're very, very excited because it's ELF playoffs.
Yes, we are.
Maxie, you want to throw on up what we got? There we go. Beautiful. And then there were two games. There we go. That's what we got. Saturday, the Munich Ravens coming off that big win against the Raiders T-Roll, playing against the Paris Musketeers. This one's interesting, man. Two second-year franchises that are making the playoffs already this early in their existences. What do you think about this one? We'll do our pick'ems later, but just kind of like general thoughts here. What are you excited about on this one?
My general thought is that this Paris defense is fine. It's middle of the range in pretty much everything, fifth to seventh in pretty much every category. But then you've got the Ravens offense that is phenomenal. And then you've got the Ravens defense a little bit in. You've got a couple of players that are banged up. And then you've got the Paris offense, which is also phenomenal. So I reckon this one's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a very, very high scoring game.
Interesting. I like that. That'll be fun for fans. And guys, I am going to be on the call for that game on the ELF Game Pass. So everybody better tune in because it's going to be a great day of football. Germany versus France. I mean, it's a showdown between countries on that one. So we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about it, and we'll do our pick'ems as well. But then just looking to Sunday, this is the third time that these two teams play, the Bravos and the Rhine Fire. They've traded games. It's 1-1. Matt, what do you think? Who's going to get the tiebreaker in this series and move on?
I'll give it. Oh, that's a good one. I'll go wait till pick him so I can easily change my mind halfway through the show if I feel a different kind of way. But it's definitely, I mean, it's just the storyline writes itself, doesn't it? You get the early upset for game one, you get a kind of a blowout in game two, and then we get to see, which one was a fluke, which one was the more earned victory, and it comes in with just like the perfect start to these first playoff games. Both of these games are just so exciting to me. I can't wait.
And it's going to be just absolutely fantastic. So let's do a little bit. We're going to take a look here at a couple key players in these games, sort of the playoff spotlights, if you will. Maxie, go ahead and throw up one of those graphics for us. Let's start off here. Quarterback Zach Edwards of the Paris Musketeers. This is an interesting time for Zach Edwards. Well, the big criticism on him is that he hasn't been able to get it done in the big games. Matt, do you think that's a fair criticism? And what do you think that he's going to look like on Saturday?
I think it is a reasonable criticism. He's only had one playoff game in his ELF career so far, even though he's played the most regular season games for a quarterback in ELF history. So it's definitely a factor. And then you got to look at those early games that he was playing in. He got sacked 35, 37 times his first couple of years, 50 plus times in his first year in the league. So he's kind of always had his back against the wall and some resistance against him trying to win that first playoff game. So he's got a much better supporting cast. I think probably the best supporting cast he's ever had in the league. And I think coming into this, he has so much pressure on him. But I kind of feel like he could deliver. Like, I really do. I think this is kind of his moment. I like Jamal has been saying the last couple of weeks. We had this last year with Jay, where Jay was like, oh, you can't win a big game, da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
Now it's transferred that kind of opinion onto Edwards. Edwards now has an opportunity to prove a lot of people wrong, and he's got a gauntlet of really highly anticipated teams to go through to do it. So it could be kind of like a Dirk Nowitzki kind of playoff run coming on here, because he's got his challenges. Let's just say that.
Absolutely, man. Just a couple statistics here from the regular season. Edwards, obviously one of the top quarterbacks in the league and one of the more experienced guys now in his third year in the league. 34 touchdowns, 7 picks with a 60% completion percentage, QBR of 115. Then I went and I took a look at his playoff. Here are his statistics against playoff teams. They played in the regular season against 4 playoff teams, Madrid and the Rhein Fire, 2 times total. His stats on that, his completion percentage drops to 56%, and he's thrown 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions against playoff teams. So not a great ratio there. So that does just kind of support a little bit the criticism on Edwards. But I don't know, man. I think I'm kind of with you a little bit. I think he might be hearing some of this talk and kind of hearing, oh, this is the knock on him. But he's got a massive opportunity. And we saw in that game against Madrid that he's got that dog in him. Like he is a gamer, and when it's time to go win a game, he did it. And we'll see what he does this weekend if he does it. And staying with quarterbacks, the quarterback on the opposing team that's going to be playing, Chad Jeffries, also an interesting one. Watched in great detail his game last week. Here's another interesting set of stats for Jeffries. Against the playoff teams, he has 60% completion, and he has 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. So very, very similar to Edwards, and just kind of not great against playoff opponents. But it's interesting. I don't know. Have you heard this knock on Jeffries that he can't really get it done in the big game? Is that fair?
I mean, I've not heard everyone criticize Jeffrey's big game performances. I think it kind of comes down also to he hasn't really played that many playoff teams this season, so his sample size is very small. I think, believe it or not, it might just be the Raiders, right? The only playoff teams he's played this year. But he is an extremely efficient quarterback. He has been for the last 2 years that he's been in the league. He's been one of the most efficient players in pretty much every category. He doesn't turn over the ball very much. He scores a lot. And I think that, it's a good point. I think that one is being treated as a guy that doesn't make the playoffs and doesn't win those big games, whereas the other, with some pretty similar stats, is the most efficient quarterback potentially in the league. So I think it's a very valid point. I think both of them, could have really, really big games because they both have come up really, really big, especially using their legs in the last couple of games.
Dude, 100%. And I think Jeffries doesn't really get enough credit for his legs. Obviously, Zach Edwards, I think he's 6th in the league in rushing, which is incredible for a quarterback. But Jeffries gets it done on the ground. He rushed for over 100 yards last week in that rainy, muddy game against the Raiders. And so he really gets it done on the ground as well. So both of these quarterbacks, have really a big opportunity. But I just thought that was interesting because when I looked at both of these guys' records or their statistics against playoff teams, is pretty similar. And I don't hear people having that same knock with Chad Jeffries. I'm actually of the belief that both of these guys have the potential to really rise up. And I think we're going to be in for a treat, man, on this Saturday game. I cannot wait to call it. I mean, these are 2 of the more experienced quarterbacks in this league. And it should be a fantastic one, man. And we'll Matt, tell like in a little bit, we'll do our pick'ems, but I'm very curious which way you're leaning on that one, man.
I'm really intrigued in where you're going too, because you kind of gave praise to both, so I kind of get an early inkling of where you're going to go.
Okay, yeah, there we go. And just hitting the chat real quick. Marcus is here. What's up, Marcus? Jamal, of course, the 4th down fiasco. Boys, ELFpedia says last year he was the real MVP. I think talking about Chad Jeffries. Actually went to Jadrian. I don't know if you can I don't know, man. I think he was nominated for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I wouldn't go MVP. G had the best offense we've ever seen in the ELF.
That's generous, ELFpedia. Well, we have got, guys, and we're going to touch on the Madrid and Rhein Fire game here in a few minutes. We got something a little bit more important than that first. We have got one of the most talented, best wide receivers in this entire league, on this entire continent. The man himself, Louis Geyer, is joining the show. Geyer. What is up, man?
So I'm good. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. Obviously, Stuttgart Surge bye week this week. First of all, just real quick, how's the bye week going, man?
It's going good. Like, we have regular practice. We take no foot off the gas. Trying to get back to 100%. Obviously, we enjoy that we don't have a game this weekend, which is good for the body. But we don't take any breaks. We're going full focus on next weekend.
Hell yeah, man. So Matt and I will kind of like go back and forth on asking you questions here. My first one that I want to talk about is this is your second year playing with Riley, your quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in this league. Can you talk a little bit about your football relationship with Riley? And obviously you guys are having so much success, and how is that connection with Riley Hennessy?
It's amazing. He does so much off the field, like just about speaking what he wants on the field. So it's so much easier when we step on the field. Like, okay, he said maybe get a little more inside push, and then I do it, and things just started clicking from the first day I met him on the field, and he's just such a cool guy, and it helps me a lot and the whole offense to reach its full potential. And he's the mastermind with Jordan behind it. So it's amazing.
Absolutely, man.
Nice. I got one as well. I've often to refer to you as like a pioneer and a prospect at the same time. So you're in your early 20s, but yeah, you've been in the league for like 4 years, right? You've been from the start, Surge, Cologne, back to the Surge. This year, we've seen probably the best group of like cornerbacks coming into the league that we've ever seen. But I was also interested, the last few years, who would you say is some of the best guys over your period of time in the ELF you've had to play that position?
On corner? I mean, this year, like my whole ELF career.
I'd say every year, because you've seen every single crop of recruits coming in. So I think it'll be good to have every year.
Just speaking about Americans, I got to put Mitch Fettig up there, who's, in my opinion, the best DB. With Raheem Wilson, who kind of came in. Good for us because he's done an unbelievable job coming in late and helping us win games. I think one of my best DBs I ever faced was Omari in his first season with the Frankfurt Galaxy. He played corner that year. And after the game, I just sent him a message. I was like, you got to tell me some things I need to improve. And we texted back and forth. So he's definitely on the list. And I think Jamalcolm Liggins, Frankfurt Galaxy, he is one of the top guys. Unbelievable corner. Played against him when he was with the Raiders. I was with the Cologne Centurions. Just lengthy guy. You think you had him, but then like a big arm comes up and swats the ball away. Yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah.
There we go. There's a lot of talent in this league, and it's pretty cool to see you going up against. You're playing against talented guys and still balling out. So way to go, Louis. We got a question from the chat. ELFpedia says, question for Louis. How did you feel about Devin Taylor's coverage in the legendary game against the Raiders? It was unusual to be taken out of a game like that, wasn't it?
Whoa. Good question.
Wow. Good. Okay, ELFpedia.
Obviously an unbelievable player. We said it before the game even started, like he's a really, really good corner. And we thought that he would probably go with DJ, but he ended up traveling me, which was obviously new for me, but I was like, okay, perfect. So I got the one-on-one matchup with the best guy. So I felt a little bit of pride in that, but
yeah.
Obviously the thing about our offense is we don't have like, okay, we want to give this guy the ball. Like our offense is just, okay, who's open? The guy who's open will get the ball. And that's just our style of offense, the way we handle things. So it wasn't a game where I was heavily targeted, but that's just part of the game. And that made other guys get open. Peach had 2 touchdowns. Yannick obviously balls out, and DJ as well. So if I'm a decoy route for somebody to get open, that's who I am, and I was fine with it. Obviously, you have like your little personal thing of catching a ball at least once a game. So that's it. But there are games like that, and obviously I wish I could help the team a little bit more in that specific game. But yeah, got to give it to Taylor. He's a great corner.
Yeah, man. But that's the thing, and that's what ELFpedia in the chat says. Like, it's pretty damn crazy, pretty rare to put your American import DB on a homegrown wide receiver. I mean, like, that's a big sign. That's a sign of big respect, man, of your game. And it's pretty cool to see that. And that's you've earned that status, man. You've earned that getting covered by the American DB.
That's what I'm striving for. I want to play against the best, and if the best DB lines up against me, I'm giving his best shot. So
absolutely, bro. And kind of staying on that in your game, how do you feel like you've developed as a wide receiver, like a jump you made from last year to this year? Obviously, you had great success last year, but it's even, I feel like, another big step this year. What is your analysis of your game?
I think I talked to Riley about this a lot, and I think this year was just not how to get open, but when to get open. And we talked about this. Riley said it also in one of the podcasts, but it was when to get open. I think certain people or wide receivers think, okay, I need to know how to get open, but just like when you see a 101, okay, how to get open. But if it's a game situation and you have like different zones, different holes where you need to get in, there's more important aspect about like when do you need to be open. And I think the jump from last year to this year, I made it like a important aspect to my game. Like, when do I need to be open? I think that helped me getting a lot more targets or receptions this year and helping the team. And obviously having a guy like DJ Stewart the whole offseason with you and having him the whole offseason to practice, releases, routes. I just try to copy every move he makes and try to take some things of his game into my game. And yeah, it was a great offseason for me, and need to get better.
That's cool, man. That's interesting. That is an interesting one. I like that. That's a great answer. When to get open, like understanding that level of the game is really, really, that's awesome, man. Matt, you got a question?
Absolutely. It kind of transitioned well, because I was going to say, like, you played with a lot of great American receivers. I mean, this year you got DJ, you got Hazleton. Which one of those, or all of the Americans you played with, you being able to adapt part of their game into your game and make yourself better from their teaching?
I think my first big mentor was Quentin Pounds when I was with Cologne. And he gave me like the first big step up of a mindset. I asked him, like, how do you attack a one-on-one? How do you attack? I need to get back in center. Yeah, no. So how do you attack if a great DB comes up to you and like, okay, I'm going to press you. And it was just his mindset of, you can cover me. You can, like, attacking the play with a mindset, okay, I'm going to give you the best shot I can, which helped me a lot to grow, playing against those kind of DBs. Obviously, that was my first receiver I could work with. Told me a lot of different moves on the line, so that was amazing. And then obviously you have DJ, who for me is still the best American wide receiver in the league. Just the way he runs routes, it's just poetry. It's just art. There's not like you can teach it. It just happens. It just looks so natural. And I try to be natural as well, like that. We talk about different moves, different releases. So that was a big part for me, just becoming natural at doing these types of routes and releases. And I think from last year to this year, I made a big jump in that category.
Absolutely, man. Kind of sticking also with on your relationship with Quentin Pounds and having a little bit of mentorship there with American wide receivers. Now you're kind of in a position where people are looking up to you, young wide receivers looking up to you. What, Geyer, is your advice for young wide receivers, both physically but also mentally? Because I know you're very in tune with the mental aspect of the football game. Obviously the X's and O's, but the breath work stuff and the visualizing and stuff like this. So kind of what's your advice to a young wide receiver trying to come up and be the next Louis Geyer?
It's simple. It's always easy to say, but it's a simple metaphor. It's just be 1% better than you were yesterday. It started way back in U19. That was our motto. But just attacking the day, like, got to be better than yesterday, and even or striving to be better than yesterday. And I think, just for me, I got really lucky to like got into the LFL early and had like so many new things coming right at me at that young age, so I can adapt real quick. And I think that's the biggest thing for like young players. Just experience new stuff, experience new competition, go to camps, go to like work out with new players, or like I was messaging like after my first year in the ELF, I had like every American DB I played against. I wrote a DM thing saying, "Hey, great game. Like, how can I improve? What was your indicator for you on that route that I got?" So just being obsessed with the process of getting better. I think that's the biggest part, and loving what you do. I think that's the biggest part. Yeah.
Damn. I love that, man. I love that you DM'd the DBs after you played them.
Always,
asked them like,
always.
what can I do to
It's
get
tough.
better?
It's tough if they lock you up, but you'll get better from it.
Yeah,
So
man. And then you get better 1% every day. There you go. Matt, what you got?
I got you were like one of the older of the golden generation of receivers. We got you, we got Torre, we got Spiller, we got JFC, we got all these like amazing crop of European receivers that are coming through the next couple of years. And my one to you is there any guys maybe in the rookie seasons of this year, or do you've seen in Germany coming up through in the next couple of seasons you think could make an equally big impact that you've made on this league?
There's one guy who sadly got injured this year. He comes from the Rhine Fire, Brian Winter. He was with the NFL Academy. I don't know him personally, but obviously because I know a lot of guys from Cologne and that area, and they just are in awe of that guy. Like I think he turned 19 or even younger, and he is balling. He caught a touchdown this year. Sadly, like I said, got injured, but I think sky's the limit for him, and we will see a lot of him the next coming years. I'm sure of that.
Oh, that's good. All right. It's bye week right now. Looking forward to next week, semifinal. Got either Madrid or Rhine Fire, excuse me. Who would you like to play? I know the answer, but I want to hear
it. Obviously, I know what the people want to see, and I'm not afraid to give the people what they want to see. But I want to just focus on our game. Obviously, we are scouting a lot and are in the meetings, in the meeting room every day, or like on huddle on the computer. But I think people have a tendency of who will win that game, but like it's the playoffs and you never know what will happen. So I will be ready for whoever steps into our house, and that's going to be the matchup.
There we go. Love that, man. He's a real professional. He knows how to answer the tough questions there. Matt, what else you got?
It's always the NBA 2K answer. Like
you know it, guy. Matt, what do you got?
My last one is when you're going through these tape, watching these DBs, watching your receivers, what's like part of your process that you go through when writing tape? I always think that's quite a fascinating thing to ask people is just what are you writing down, what you see, and are you taking notes on everything? You tracking routes from other receivers you're playing against? You just focus on DBs? You focus on safeties, corners, linebackers? What kind of stuff are you notarizing and taking note of during that pre-game process?
Mm-hmm. When I look at DBs, I often look like how they line up when they go press or soft press. I think that's a big part of me going into that game. Like just from the line, how do I need to attack a certain DB? Like which arm are they shooting at the line? If he's playing off, okay, if he's playing outside, inside, cover two, stuff like that. If I'm looking at like certain plays we want to run for that game, I look at games where they had like a certain route combo we want to copy, or like a similar route concept, and look at linebackers, look at certain windows, A1 players, A2 players, just the different holes and how late or how fast they get into the zones. So I can be when I'm running the route, I know where I need to be, where different guys are. So yeah, that makes it easier for yourself, for your quarterback, and for the team.
There we go. Yeah, you're getting called in the chat. You're getting called the Vanilla CD Lamb from Alex Malchow. All right, so just that's what we're gonna leave you with that image. That's what we got for you. All right, man.
Love
Louis,
it.
man, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
It was
Always
my
love
pleasure.
talking to you, brother. Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
man, thank you.
I'll see you next weekend. Get some content together. All right.
Get some content.
Play
You
some
know,
football, get some content, just like we do. All right, Louis. Thanks so much, man.
Go, sir.
See ya. Louis Geyer. What a guy. No pun intended. He's awesome, man. Obviously such a baller, one of the best players in the league. But and you know, I talked about like, oh, if there was a football game, an EA football game for the ELF right now, it would be like on the cover would be Glenn Tunga, but like next year on the cover, it might be Louis Geyer.
Yeah.
Representing the league of a European football player. So that was dope, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. Brian Winter's a fantastic pick. Also, I might just add that. Like, he's so good.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about it. Yeah, because that was sucked that he got hurt this year, but that was a great pick. All right, so Louis Geyer, and then we got Milan Spiller coming up here in about 12 minutes, guys. So good stuff. Thanks for giving us some of your questions in there. Now let's go back, Matt, and let's take a look at the other players in the Ryan Fire and Madrid Bravos game. We were looking at key players, the quarterbacks previously, but this is the Sunday game here, the third matchup between these two teams. And we're going to be looking at the British running backs on these two squads. Maxie, pull up the man, Glenn Tunga. Okay, or Dwayne. We'll start with Dwayne. Okay, or we'll go Glenn. All right, either way, whichever way you want to do it. Obviously, both these teams have great running backs here. Both of these guys just kind of the offense seems to be going through both of these guys this year, but Glenn Tunga is on an absolutely another level, man. Matt, what do you think? I mean, we talked to him last week. What do you think is going to be what's Glenn's stat line going to look like in this game? Is he going to be able to take over? Because just let me add quickly, when they played him twice, one of the games they did shut him down a little bit, which is him going for 76 yards, still solid. What do you think it's going to look like this week with Glenn?
I can pretty accurately say, and this isn't even like a bad stat, Glenn will score in this game. Like, Glenn has not scored in forever. I know I put that stat up about a while ago. He scored 3 in their last meeting. He has been a machine offensively this year. And this is the two best British running backs we have. And he is definitely the guy. He's the MVP in my opinion. Like, it's not even close. He's the heart, the soul, the engine, whatever analogy you want to use. He's that. I mean, he even scored he scored in the last game against them. He's got 4 total touchdowns in them this year. I think he's going to be able to run, honestly, straight through them. Like, I know Munich are really good. Alessandro Fernandez is probably the best run-stopping defensive end we have in this league, and he's a European. Like, maybe him and Carl Kitchens. They're both outstanding, but it's just when he just keeps running, he just keeps going. Like, there's nothing you could do to stop it. He's also got cardio, goes under the radar. He's able to go through 1 through 4 with that same level of intensity, same level of aggression. And I think he goes for over 100. I think I'm going to guarantee a score, which is brave, but kind of got to put your heart out there. And I think he's going to do it.
Hammer that, put it in. He's going to score. In the chat, Athletes Forum says over under 2.5 touchdowns. Jamal says over 2.5 touchdowns for Glenn. That's it's pretty high over under right there. And then Alex says Glenn Tunga 99 club. He'd be our 99 in our ELF football game. Hey, what would you give Dwayne Obi, Alex? Let us know what you give Obi here, because we're moving on to Obi. Also, fantastic British running back, first year in the league, taking over. The last 2 games, he's been quite good. He missed the game against Frankfurt, which they let slip away, and the offense looked terrible without him. But last 2 games against Paris, he went for 105 yards, and he had 4 catches for 46 more through the air. And then against Hamburg, 13 rushes for 142 and 2 touchdowns. So he's on a little bit of a hot streak these last couple weeks. What do you think it's going to look like for him, Matt, on Sunday?
I'm a massive Obi fan. I've been an Obi fan since his game in Milan for the Great Britain team, and he hurdled a guy over the line to get a touchdown. He was incredible in that game, and that's what sparked my interest in him as a player. He went to GFL for a year. I think that's great for his development. He's come in to the ELF, and I really like to touch on his receiver value because I think this kind of goes under the radar. People see him, they think he's Glenn, but a little bit different because they're both maulers, they're both big, they're both physical guys. But I do think that his receiving value is something that massively goes under the radar. And if he didn't miss those couple of games, he probably would have ended up in a 1,000-yard club in terms of his rushing as well. He's a great blocker. He actually started off as like an offensive lineman when he was young playing football in the UK. And I think he's going to have another big game. He's a potential superstar in this league. And I don't want to use that lightly, but I'm a massive Obi fan. I think that he's just on the cusp of being that league superstar. And you never know. This could be the game to do it. The Ryan defensive line is certainly a 12-headed monster. But if he's going to do it and he's going to come out in the big games, it's got to be against these kind of playoff teams.
12-headed monster is a good way to describe that D-line. Now, just sticking on this game here for a second, the Ryan Fire Madrid Bravos game. Obviously, in the first half of the year, when the Fire were struggling a little bit, trying to find their footing, that's when the Bravos defeated them. But then, and obviously, Jadrian Clark was not in as pristine form in the first half of the season as he was in 2023. I went and I took a look at Jadrian Clark in the second half of the season from week 7 to week 14. He has a 76% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns and 2 picks. The 2 picks were both in one game, and one of them was absolutely silly. So he's been absolutely MVP form in the second half of this season. I'm wondering, Matt, you think that continues on here in the playoffs?
100%. 100%. He's the king of the playoffs at the moment. He's a reigning MVP of the league, the reigning, championship game MVP. And like you said, he's come into form at the right time. And if you want to concentrate on Glenn, go ahead, because he's got the arm just to rip it like 70 yards for a touchdown. We've seen it countless times over the last 2 years, especially. So I have no question. I think that he's going to be right on form. Like you said, with those 2 picks, one of them's there. The other one was kind of like a, end of game one.
Yeah.
And granted, though, he didn't have the best games against Madrid in either of them. But the only thing that matters is they got the last win. And if they've got Glenn, and you can't stop Glenn, and then just Jay comes out in this great form, and we've seen him in the second half of the year, I don't really think there's any defense that can stop that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, when they're hitting stride both on the run game and the pass game, that's a scary football team right there. Going back, let's look at the at Paris Ravens. We got a couple minutes here until Milan Spiller joins us, guys. So stick around and put your questions in the chat there. Back to Paris Ravens, man. And this one, I think, obviously with the Ryan Fire Madrid Bravos, maybe, some people see that a little bit more of a clear game. This one, I think, could be crazy, crazy close. Just looking at some of the statistics, both of these teams they're fantastic on third down. Munich's second in the league on third down. Paris is fourth in the league on third down. And a player that we didn't put in our spotlight segments earlier, because, of course, we're so offensive-minded bias, we didn't even think to put a defensive player in our spotlight. It's a real shame we did that. But Dawson Dales, he is 5th in the league in tackles, but he's 1st in the league in solo tackles, which one might argue is a much more important stat, especially, you can kind of pad tackle stats, jump on the pile, stuff like that. But solo tackles, that's hard. And just watching this guy, I've been watching him this week because I'm calling this game, flying around, man. I'm really excited to see kind of that Dawson Dales versus that Munich backfield, Justin Rodney, Tamawa Oyewu backfield. What are your thoughts on that matchup, that like kind of one-on-one matchup?
That's such a good question. I love Dawson Dales as well. Like at the last season, I didn't watch a ton of his tape individually. I was like, oh, he's fine. He was an all-star, but I didn't have a ton of time to get into his ability. This preseason, I made a point just to watch him. He is so fundamentally like there. You know what I mean? Like his footwork, his movement, his tackling, everything is so great. He's a sneaky to good athlete. I know he runs that 4.2, but not a lot of people know that. Like, but he's everywhere. Like you look at any play, and I think that's his motor goes massively under the radar. because he's absolutely everywhere. You just turn on this. Sometimes I'd sat and I'd do with just players. Go randomly on the timeline, pick a spot. Is he near the ball? And every single time, you know that Dawson Dale's going to be near the football. Even on offense, we've seen him get a little bit of play time. He's had fumble recovery touchdowns. He's had rushing touchdowns. So he's Mr. Everywhere. It's Dawson Dale's. But in terms of Rodney and Tomiwa, that's such a difficult matchup for like anyone, because Rodney, I think, just eked into the top 5 of rushing yards. Didn't even have like all of the carries because he was spin carries. Tomiwa unfortunately had injury issues this year, but they both offer such a unique skill set. Tomiwa more of like that scat back who can come out of the backfield and catch passes. Rodney, you can run down your throat. He's going to have a ton to deal with. I think that he'll do a good job because there's such an athletic defense around him. Chandler Jones is back, also very important. You got Dian Gomez, you got Amir Kalani, some great French talent. Stanley Zaregbe on the sideline, on the edge. So I think he's not going to do it alone. He's going to have these amazing, Mamadou Sy as well, of course, in the middle, big man. They're going to be able to support him in this extremely like Avengers Endgame level-esque matchup that we have going on in this game.
Yeah, man. In the chat, Alex Malchow, classic Ohio linebacker. He says AJ Hawk of the ELF. It's so true. Ohio breeds football players. We talk about this guy's not just a linebacker; he's a football player. We've seen him all over the field. Actually taking offensive snaps. I mean, he's like on special teams, blocking punts, picking up fumbles there, and then obviously on defense. And he's been with Coach Mark Mattioli now, the head coach of the Musketeers, for 3 years. They've got a great relationship. One of the first people that he called, Mattioli, when he took that Paris Musketeers job. And I think, I've hammered this point home a little bit earlier in the season, but, it's been a few weeks, so I got to hammer it again, is you can have success in this league with an American linebacker, okay? You can have success in this league. I know 2 of the teams that went with American linebacker didn't make the playoffs, but the Musketeers did, and that's saying something. So it's a very good argument in favor of the American linebacker because they can do a lot of stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, we've seen AJ even dip his toes into the offensive play calling this season, so there's no limitations. We saw big man touchdowns this year. We've seen, actually, I think every single team in this might have had a big man touchdown like this year. So
the big man touchdown last week with the Ravens, it was wild, man.
Yeah, he's such a good defensive tackle as well. Both of the Kiwis they have in that defensive line are monstrous. So that's going to play in part in Zach, because Voyoma is extremely athletic. Got Lowell, who's like so physically strong and also really young. Like he has such a crazy level of athleticism. It's actually unreal. Obviously an IPP player, so we all know he's a great athlete. But then he steps on and people are like, oh, I already was a rugby player. It's like, that's because he's a Kiwi. Of course, you absolutely probably played rugby. So I'm not surprised to see him getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, that was wild, man. And you see him, he was like, he hurdled the guy. It was crazy. I couldn't believe my eyes when I was calling that game. Malchow says, Nick, you are an honorary Ohio linebacker. Alex, I cannot. I'm on the verge of tears. That is the nicest thing that somebody has ever said to me. I'm just a lowly Oregon linebacker, but to say that, Alex, I can't even believe it. Thank you, brother. All right, Maxie, you said we got a message here from our director. Maxie, should we do pick'ems right now, or we do them after the interview with Spiller? Go ahead and write us one of those funny messages that you do. Hold on, guys. We're waiting for some information here from our boss. The pick'ems after or interview now? You got to write the full thing out, Maxie. After Spiller. Okay, good. There we go. All right, we got some clarity. We got a little bit of clarity on that. Okay, so after this interview that is coming up here in just a few seconds, we will do our pick'ems. You guys participate with us. It's going to be a tough one, man, on that one. But we have got another very, very special guest, another elite European talent playing wide receiver who made ELF history last week as the first European wide receiver to go for 1,000 yards in a regular season. Unbelievable. Matt, I know you're a massive fan of this guy. I am too. Max, you bring him on the show. Milan Spiller.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yo, Milan, what is up, man? Thank you so much for joining us on the show. I mean, first things first, how do you feel after setting that record and being in the ELF history books? That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah. Feels amazing. Like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I wasn't expecting that much of like this season. It was at the beginning. I was like, yeah, I just come back from the States, so I will like chill a bit, get my body clear, all because I like literally play 3 seasons in a row, don't no stops. So yeah, I didn't want to play at first, but I guess yeah, I didn't choose like life is life.
They have me. We got, hey man, I don't know if you can see the chat. The people are going crazy. Everybody loves you. Your fan favorite. Your teammate Carlton Aiken says, "I got chills." You're bringing people are excited here that you're in the chat. Matt, what do you got for our man Speller here?
Of course, me and you have talked about this before, but like I think a lot of people are unaware about your experience in the States. Like people were saying, "Oh, you know, this guy come in." Even I was like, "You weren't on." I'm going to be real. You weren't on my boards at the start of the year. I was like confused when you started popping off. But then people started to realize. But I think something goes under the radar was that time spent in America. So what I wanted to ask is, and I'll go. Me and you have talked about it, but the impact of being in those schools and learning from those guys and those coaches, and what it did for you when you came back to Europe to play in your rookie season.
I mean, like honestly, I won't even play in the ELF if I wasn't be able to go to the States. I learned so much. Like just playing football every day is just a different things, and I got like lucky on that point because since I'm playing football, I get surrounded by like US coaches. Even if I played like Division 2 Switzerland, I got like one of the best coach, like Darius Willis, who like sent me in the US. So yeah, without him, I won't be able to like sit there and talk to you about the 1,000 yards. So I'm really blessed with all the US people who like helped me to be at this level. And yeah, all the like the mentality also overseas is like a different things. They play football, this is their life. Like they're ready to die on the field. So yeah, that's something. If you can't leave that, you have to go overseas play football, because this is like an experience that you will not forget. And even if you have to pay like a scholarship or some, it's definitely worth do it, like for sure.
Awesome, man. We got, yeah, like I said, we got people in the chat. Anthony Brown says, "Hi, Milan. It's Dad. So proud of you." What do you have to say to
that? Yeah, we jokes about that because like Americans coming to Europe, I feel like all the European players should like take example of them playing, like ask for every question they have about football, how they play, the technique, all that stuff. So yeah, he's been like my teammate, but also my coach, I feel like, because there is no like positional coach at the Mercenaries. So I got lucky to have AB for sure, who like taught me a lot this season. And yeah, it was great to have him.
Man, it seems like you guys have a great relationship there. The guys on the Mercenaries, and you get your team seems to be really, really tight. And that actually brings me to a question. I was wondering, obviously there was a kind of a off the field drama and distractions off the field with the Mercenaries this year, but you were able to just keep plugging away and keep playing football. How difficult was that to just try and focus just on what's on the football field while also knowing there's a little bit of noise off the field?
Yeah. Honestly, for me, it was different because I asked to like not being paid. So all that stuff like late payments and stuff like that, it wasn't concerning for me. But I understand all the people like on the field not being able to just be a player and have to worry about like payments, travel, like how all the stuff's gonna be. all the information was like delivered very late, so I can understand that. But of course we have like also the like head coach changes, all
Yep.
the like inside thing that we didn't expect, honestly. And the biggest thing was like control what you can control. John Falk tells that to everybody at every practice. Just try to focus on the next game and just stay focused.
Oh, I love that, man. And John Falk is an icon and an absolute baller, and really impressive. Great to have him on the team. Matt, you got a question?
Absolutely. So like I think something I kind of missed out on my video was how clutch you are in terms of these big games. You got 102 against Stuttgart, you got 200 against Vienna, you got over 150 against Munich. But these big games, do they have some kind of different effect on you? Do you come into these big ones a little bit more of a chip or a little bit more of a want to perform, or is it just kind of like every game's the same kind of mentality? Because it is quite a difference when you need to turn it on, you can go over 150 like it's nothing.
Yeah. So all the first game I played, I was like just playing for fun. Like, not that I'm not being serious in the game, but take it like, okay, if we win, that's great. If we lose, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, like, I can control all the players that are on the field. So I want it bad. And if the team follows, so like it is what it is. I can control that. Of course, at the end of the season, the 1,000 yards was on the line. So I try to like chill a bit, but yeah, mentally it was very difficult. Like the second game against the Vienna Vikings was the hardest I ever played. So yeah, luckily Carlton and AB was behind me, like helping me with all the mental shit, and yeah, that helps me a lot. So yeah, thanks to them.
Awesome, man. We've got a question from the chat on Instagram here. Do you have any ambitions to play in the US again, or is there a chance for it?
Yes, I feel like the US is still the best place to learn football. So as I'm like 21, I'm turning 22. If I'm able to go like D1 or D2, I will for sure take this opportunity. But of course, like, I'm open to every situation. If I don't go to D1 or D2, I'm gonna stay in the ELF for sure. But yeah, if I got an opportunity and I see I can learn more in the US, I will go.
Yep, makes sense, man. And you just touched on it. If you don't do that, you'll stay in the ELF. A lot of people are wondering what your intentions are. Could you see yourself going to another team in the ELF? Obviously, you had a fantastic year this year. You're going to be probably one of the more sought after European players in this offseason. How realistic is that for you?
I mean, after this season, like as you said before, Carlton and I we were very close. So we built that chemistry, and we want to like stay together. So I'm gonna say this, like wherever, like where Carlton go, I go. So if he stay in Switzerland, I will stay in Switzerland. We agree to that, but he also agreed to like let me go D1 or D2, so I can come back stronger.
I love that, man. That's awesome. All right, so you guys are a package deal.
Yeah,
like there we go. Hell yeah, it's a good package. Matt, what you got?
I like it. Like when you say about the stateside, I'm imagining you probably watch a lot of NFL or college football. As a young receiver, who are you watching to kind of implement your game? Because like I've talked about it, how good of a route runner you are and everything like that. But who in the professional levels are you taking notes on or taking inspiration from?
I mean, to the guys I know, AB teach me so much, so I guess I can like took from him a lot. Terion, also a great route runner. He taught me some things also. And like NFL wise, if I watch like all the film in the NFL, like I know I got speed. I'm not that tall, so Tyreek Hill would be the first one for deep ball, deep route. And maybe Devontae Adams for the route running also.
Those are good comparisons. Actually, in the chat, Alex Malchow called you the Swiss Tyreek Hill, so that works out pretty well. And your boy Anthony Brown says, "Ask Milan if he likes playing Minecraft."
Yeah, that's maybe why like Matt doesn't notice me before, because I'm not really a social media guy. I just work in silence, and I mean,
Love that.
just play football on my side, and just wait and see what happened. So I'm a nerd. I'm a gamer. I don't really go outside so often. My social media is just packed with ELF things. I got like 3 or 2 photos on Instagram, but that's it. So that's maybe why I went unnoticed.
Love it, man. This guy is just locked in, playing Minecraft, scoring touchdowns in the mountains. Absolute baller. Real quick before we let you go, what are your thoughts on the playoffs right now? The teams that you see in here, obviously this week we got Paris versus the Ravens, and then the Bravos and the Rhine Fire. What are your thoughts on the games this weekend? Who do you got? Who do you think is going to win?
Honestly, I only play against the Ravens, and I feel like they have the capacity to do some things great. The Paris and like Bravos are really good. Bravos first season and Paris like strong. The French guys are just like amazing at football. So I'm lucky to live in Switzerland. I speak French, so Paris was like an idea at the beginning, but as I said, if I can go to the US again, I will probably go. But French guys are very strong at football. That's great to have like strong community like that at football close to where I live. Of course, there is Germany, but I don't speak German, so it would be difficult. So I guess, I don't know. Honestly, the Bravos are great. Every guy has his chance to like shine, and I hope the best win. That's
there you go. Very good diplomatic answer, bro. That's very. You're
I'm neutral.
Matt, you got one last question, Matt, for Milan?
We'll give like the same thing I did to Geyer, just quick 3 best corners you played in the ELF this season. Like you played all these amazing teams. So I'm going to go outside Switzerland because I know that's a diplomatic one, but outside Switzerland, 3 corners that you've enjoyed or maybe not so much enjoy playing this year.
I mean, honestly, as I move a lot on the field, I line up against different corner every game. So I'm going to say like corners in general for every team. The Vienna Vikings corner are tough, like, and I had the chance to line up against Ken Ike, so I know the level are just crazy. Munich Ravens are also great. I mean, they have super athletes. That's one of the most difficult matchup I had all this year. And Serge, one of the best defense I played. So at the end, I was kind of pissed because my last game I had to like put a 73 yards, something like that, and they were ready to just like bully me. They didn't want to let me get my 1,000 yards. So
they tried to stop you, man, but you did it.
You got it.
They're not going to hold you down.
You got it though. Don't matter. They tried to bully you. Got it.
There you go. You got it. Milan, man, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Congrats for your season you had, man. Storming onto the scene. Honestly, it's so awesome to see what you've done. You've got such a bright future. So many people are excited about you in this league, man. We can see it here just in the chat and what everybody's saying about you, man. So good luck in the off season with everything. I hope that everything works out exactly how you would like. And if you're staying in Europe, Mercenaries, give him that bag. Get this man paid. Him and Carlton, package deal. They're staying in Switzerland, maybe. All right,
Thank
man.
you, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
great
very
day.
much. You
See
too.
ya.
Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah.
See ya. Dude, he's such a great kid.
What a legend. What a legend. Man, these receivers coming through are like special. They really are.
They really are. I mean, that's just super, super talented, like humble young wide receivers. The future is bright for the league with guys like this. Damn, man. What do you think? Do you think I like that he said he and Carlton are a package deal. I like that duo. I like that duo a lot. What do you think? Do you think they stay?
I'd love to see him stay. I always think Carnagan's an underrated player. He just needs that offensive line. He's got a weapon that's homegrown. He's got AFB or Robinson, whoever they choose, and they just need to secure that offensive line. Maybe get another running back in. That offense could be kicking. They scored 40 on Vienna.
Dude, yeah, and a couple of weeks ago against Munich, they looked very, very solid as well. Like Helvetic, get some pieces. Get Carlton. Carlton's in the chat. Get him back. Get Milan. Get this thing going. Get Switzerland football popping. You guys got the potential. All right, there we go. That we've got to now, Matt. We've got to make our picks. We've been delaying it. We've been procrastinating. We now have to make our picks for this weekend, and we're going to make some people mad. I know the Madrid Bravos already hate me and hate you, man. They hate everybody on this show already because of the things we said in previous weeks. But, hey, they made the playoffs.
Yes.
So we love you, Madrid. All right, Matt, should we go Saturday? Ravens, Paris. Talk to me.
I mean, the Red Company are going to be on you, if you go against them. But I think with this one, I'm going to have to favor Paris. And I know I favored Raiders last week, and the Ravens came out and put an absolute dominant showing. But I think the Paris take it over them too. I think Paris are just more athletic. They've got a little bit deeper on the depth chart. I think they have a few more weapons they can hit with. I'm going to go for the Paris Musketeers, but it's going to be like razor sharp.
Man, I've been thinking about this one all week. I'm having such a difficult time. I think this will be incredibly, incredibly close. Two young coaches, two of the great young coaches in this league with Kendall Ellison and Mark Mattioli. And these are young defensive guys that bring the energy. And I think both of these coaches are a big reason that these second-year programs are in the playoffs. It's absolutely incredible what these guys have done. Man, I'm flip-flopping. I'm going back and forth. Can go either way. And we were talking about the two quarterbacks, both of these guys. All right, here's what I'm going to do, and it's going to be recency bias. I look back at the Ravens and the Paris in the last couple of weeks. Both of these teams played kind of gritty, rainy, sloppy games. Paris played against Madrid in the rain. The Ravens played last week, of course, against the Raiders. And because of those two games, how these teams looked in these bad conditions, I'm leaning towards the Ravens. I was more impressed with how the Ravens handled that bad conditions. And that's not to say there's going to be bad conditions on Saturday, but it just spoke to me a little bit. Just spoke to me. The Ravens found a way to be absolutely dominant in a different type of scenario. You got to be able to adapt on the fly. And they did that very, very well. Paris did it as, to a lesser extent, and they pulled out the win at the end. But that dominating victory that the Ravens had last week, I can't get that taste out of my mouth, man. So part of this is so that you and I are on the opposite side. So on Monday, we can, one of us can say, I told you so, because I'm a massive fan of the Musketeers. And, when I go to bed tonight, I might feel differently. But right now on this show, I'll go Ravens. Whew.
Oof, tough one. It's a tough one. I feel like either way, you could be right.
Yeah. And by the way, the weather says sunny. It's going to be sunny in Paris. It's going to be a great day. If you're in France, you better go to that football game. Like I said, I'm on the call. But that's what we got. All right, to Sunday, Matt. Fire. Bravos. Who we got?
It's the best of three. It's the best of three. I know a lot of people said, it might be a bit of a blowout, might be, a little bit more comfortable for runs time. I don't know. I really don't know. I think there's a lot of Madrid that could come out. We've seen the rise of some of their other guys. I managed to show in the last couple of weeks. Mario Flores is always a weapon. They've got Edu Perez, who's a young baller. They've got Molina, who's been doing good when Obi's hurt. At defense, Pablo Araya. They've got turnover creators like Glenno's taking a big step up in his turnover game this year. I think I just got to go with the healthier team, and I think that might be Ryan Fire. I know they've lagged a little bit on the receiver core because they've been hurt, but I still think they have so much in the trenches, and that's what wins you football games. That offensive line is spectacular, and our defensive line is also amazing. You got Don Core, you got Hugo Kazes, you got Jason Shakiri, you got Max Sparks, you got Sal. Like, there's so many amazing guys. I'm gonna just go with the Ryan Fire. I don't think it'll be as one-sided as some people think. I think it might be maybe even a one-score game because Madrid are really going to want this one. I know they wanted the first two, but they're going to really, really want to win the trilogy.
Yeah. And I mean, we did see it, man. The Madrid Bravos, granted, it was a kind of a fluky day, but they beat the Rhine Fire. Like, they show that it's possible. And yeah, I just can't overlook how well Glenn's playing and how well Jadrian's playing. When I went and looked at like the last 7 weeks of Jadrian, like he is dominating. He is commanding. I know he's not getting so much spotlight this year because of Glenn's incredible season. But that 1-2 punch, we're going to have, I think, back-to-back Rhine Fire MVPs. And I think having both those guys in the backfield is going to be too much for the Bravos. They're going to put up a great fight. It's going to be a very passionate effort from the Madrid Bravos, but I got to go with you, man, the Rhine Fire. And that just solidified us as absolutely despised in Spain. Sorry, Bravos.
Again.
There we go. All right, so that's good, Matt. We're on the opposite sides for one, Ravens and Paris. That's interesting. That's good. That's gonna be a fantastic game, man.
It really is. I like every single. I'm lost for words. It's gonna be brilliant.
Oh, cannot wait. Like I said, guys, I'll be commentating that Ravens Musketeers game on Saturday on the ELF Game Pass. Tune in. It's gonna be awesome. Been prepping for it all weekend. It's just there's a lot of great stories in that game. Fantastic players, great people, and it's gonna be something fun to watch on Saturday. So tune in. Matt, there we have it. Our first playoff show. 2 days, 2 more sleeps until ELF playoffs.
I like that. 2 more sleeps. There we go. We have some interviews as well. We're diversifying a little bit. It's going well.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys. And next week, let us know any people that you would like us to get on the show for interviews. We're going to keep doing those like we were doing in the off season, especially guys now that some of these guys' seasons have ended. So that is it for today, Matt. Always a pleasure, brother. Everybody in the chat, thank you guys so much for participating. All the boys of ELF football. Just a great crew.
It's awesome.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Ta-ra.